Move over, Tinseltown. Tollywood is here. Director S.S. Rajamouli's RRR is a larger-than-life Indian epic currently streaming on Netflix. This high-energy, adrenaline-fueled historical fiction is filled with true love, toe-tapping musicals, and explosive acrobatic action. Think Quentin Tarantino directing Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, then throw in a bromance for the ages. This, my friends, is popcorn movie bliss at its finest. So, get ready to rise, roar, and revolt. Nature abhors a vacuum, so Indian filmmakers stepped up to fill in the void left behind by Hollywood. Welcome, everyone. I hope you're geared up and in great spirits. This day just doesn't get any better. I just watched a movie that filled me with exhilarating joy. I can't remember the last time I saw a film that I was thrilled to talk about later, and I get the pleasure of reviewing it. RRR, translated from the original Telugu language, as you guessed it, stands for Rise, Roar, Revolt. This is a summer blockbuster bear hug that you do not want to break free from. It's a whirling dervish of fireworks, waterworks, mythology, romance, comedy, and brotherly love. This, most of all, is a movie with a soul. Now, before we jump into the review, if this is your first time here, I invite you. Take a second, push the subscribe button down below, and join the conversation as we have some fun. Think about it. What would cocaine be if it were a movie? RRR is the answer. Rise, roars, revolt turns history into legend. This story is based on two real-life Indian revolutionaries during the early 20th century. You have Alluri Sitaram Raju and Komaram Bhim. Both fought against the oppressive British colonial powers. Now, we have actor N.T. Ramarao Jr., who plays Bhim, a northern warrior and protector, a shepherd for the Gondan tribe who lives in the Adilabad forest. They charge him with a mission to bring back a girl, Mila, who was kidnapped by the evil and brutish British governor played by Ray Stevenson. Then we have Ram Charan, who plays Ramaraju, a police officer in the British military. Now, he immediately volunteers to bring Bhim in and capture him. He wants a promotion in order to one day fulfill the secret mission that will honor the pledge to his father and keep the promise to his people. Now, as fate would have it, both men meet and agree to rescue a boy from a burning train car that crashes into a river. And right as soon as they meet, they become instant best friends, brothers for life, without actually knowing the true identity of each other. You have Ram, he's calling himself Raju, and you have Bhim, who calls himself Akhtar. But director S.S. Rajamouli instantly cements the bromance between the heroes and the silver screen spectacle of grandiose action, high-flying acrobatics, and an electrifying musical. Go! Now, you have each actor, each hero is given a high-octane action scene that highlights each of their individual strengths. You have Bhim, who flows like water through the jungle, outwitting a hungry fox, outroaring a tiger before subduing it. And then you have Rama. He is like the embodiment, the avatar of fire itself, as he burns through a surging crowd of rioters to hunt down one man who had thrown a rock that his commanding officer tells him to bring back to the prison that's surrounded by a mob. Rama terrifies both of the British officers and the rioters alike with his will that refuses to fail. He succeeds. Fire and water eventually collide head on, and this is where Rise, Roar, Revolt takes off into superhero territory. But unlike the MCU films, which always cater to the lowest common denominator and the lowest IQ in the audience, director Rajamouli ups the ante. He gives us all this unadulterated pathos, fake identities, betrayal, comedy, romance, complex heroes, and villains that are pure evil. This is the type of movie that Hollywood used to make a long time ago and are now terrified to produce.
Not a great plan.
On top of it all, Rajamouli gives each hero a true love story. You have Beams, which plays out more like a romantic comedy. He falls in love with the only British character that is righteous, moral, and good. It's the niece of the governor. But it plays more like a, kind of a fish out of water, a class of culture and class. And then you have Rama. His true love is the valiant guardian of his heart and the moral compass that he needs to keep him on course. This is masala filmmaking at its finest, the blending of multiple genre styles, even the breathtaking pace for a 3+ hour movie passes by in a blink. I think the last time that I was immersed in a film like this where I didn't look at my watch, I was watching Peter Jackson's extended cut of his Lord of the Rings trilogy. It just goes by like that. And then you have the dialogue. Even though it's dubbed, they do not waste a single word, not one. Every line of dialogue is used to advance the plot. I mean, when was the last time you experienced that in a film?
Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna have to go ahead and sort of disagree with you there.
And then you have the special effects. Sometimes they could be cheesy, but you know what? Rajamouli mesmerizes the audience with him. He's not there to convince you of the realism. He's there to serve the plot and simply amaze you. RRR is the gateway drug to Indian cinema. And if this is your first time watching an Indian film, I ask you, adjust your expectations if you genuinely want to appreciate it. It's a beautiful thing. The explosive color palettes, the musicals, you have these physical stunts, the CGI, the special effects, all serve to heighten the epic sound of love and betrayal and these gritty beatdowns. It's beautiful. You're going to find action scenes which break the barrier of impossibility. And there's only one down point. After you're done seeing RRR, you will no longer be able to sit and watch a modern Hollywood film the same. No, your eyes would have been open and they just won't be able to see any ordinary Hollywood film. And you know what? That's okay, because Hollywood has become a cultural dinosaur. They have spent years strip mining reality of its sanity in order to subvert your expectations and supplant your beliefs with their own. So I'm going to say it again. Move over, Tinseltown. Tollywood is here to stay. Now, I want you to go watch it. Have a whole hell of a lot of fun. Then come back here and leave your thoughts about it in the comments down below. And if for some crazy reason you don't like it, let me know why. And here's the last question. If you think I should be reviewing more foreign films and streaming series, let me know if you have one in particular. I've been thinking about a TV series called Magnificent Century. If that interests you, let me know in the comments down below. And remember that we never bow down, we never bend the knee. Firmly defiant, step up, stand tall, and get busy living your best life now. Always forward. I was around 18 at the time. I was sitting at my favorite table of my favorite Italian restaurant, and my Uncle Jack was sitting across from me. He had come to visit me in Santa Monica, California. I'd been gone for a couple of months. I was studying in Pasadena, California at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. We were having a great conversation, and one of my friends had come to visit from Texas. And we had spent a couple weeks talking about our girls back home and all the things we had seen, Mann's Chinese Theater, all the other sites in Hollywood. And my uncle kept saying, well, you keep calling some of these friends of yours. Some I know, some I don't, but you keep calling them like brothers. And he goes, do you know what a best friend is? Do you know what a brother is? And I said, yeah. And he's like, do you know how to test it? Because, you know, family is where you're born from. You do have on occasion the ability to choose family outside of your own blood. But he goes, that's a really tough decision. And he goes, you know, there are really 3 great tests to see if someone's your brother. He goes, if you can deal with money in that relationship, in that friendship, women, or politics, you might just have a brother. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, we already know that to have a brother, that you got to be able to go through with them or they with you through highs and lows, ups and downs. If you're in the same city, the same continent, or around the world, if you have an emergency, they're going to fly there overnight. And if they have the same, you're going to do it. Likewise. I'm like, okay, yeah, I agree with that. You're going to go and you're going to experience great things. You're going to keep secrets and you're both not going to share them. I'm like, all right, secrets are a good thing. But he goes, remember, politics, women, and money. I'm like, okay. He goes, let's say today you'll have the same style politics. You're on the same side. Even though you might take different sides of an issue, he goes, you pretty much get along. What happens one day if one of you changes your ideological beliefs? You're on the other side of the political aisle. Will you then be able to still listen to the other person? Will you be able to still respect them? Will you still be as attentive? Will your friendship survive different political beliefs? He goes, if you can, then that's a brother. And he goes, for women. And he goes, can you two be completely honest? Can 2 best friends be honest about the women in their lives? Are you allowed even once to say, hey, I think that's a great gal you have? Oh, I think this person is bad for you, but I'm still going to respect her. I'm never going to, give her any problems. But I'm letting you know that I think this isn't the person for you, and you list whatever you think is wrong. He goes, if you can do that, that's a brother. And he goes, when it comes to money, he goes, my initial thought is always don't mix money with friends and family. Now, obviously, if it's an emergency and they're really close to you, you're going to be there. But he goes, money creates so many complications. It's like a poison pill, even when you have good intentions. Let's say the person needs money and they go, I just want a loan. So you say, okay, no problem. You loan it to them. He goes, they may think in their mind, oh, they think I don't have any money. They don't realize it's just an emergency. So he goes, just turn around and give it to them as a gift, because you don't want that to come between you. But then there's the flip side of that. You give it to them as a gift and they go, oh, what? They think I can never pay it back? That's what the other friend will think. He goes, money is a tricky thing. He goes, no matter how you look at it, it's something that can always create a mountain of problems. But if you can get through that, and if you can handle it properly, then again, you have a brother. And I thought about his words. And we just went through the movie RRR. It is one of the best movies that gives you the greatest lessons on platonic love between 2 men who are best friends, who have a bond of a brotherhood. They are like brothers born of the same mother. It's incredible. What they share when they're angry or when they're sad or when they're happy, it doesn't matter. And that reminded me back to something my Uncle Jack said. He said, you know what a real test of a brotherhood is? And I said, what? He goes, it says you are always willing to be patient to hear the other person out, regardless how angry you are, regardless how hot-tempered you are, regardless if you think they have your back or stabbed you in the back, you're willing to hear them out. And he goes, if you can do that, if you can have that patience, if you see it come from them, then it doesn't matter if you're both from the same womb, where you're born at the same time, or it's a brother by choice. That person will battle with you to their last breath. And then he goes, my nephew, you and anybody else who has a relationship like that, who they can call brother, are the wealthiest man in the world.
हाथ जोड़ता हूँ, अब मेरी टांगे निकल जाएंगी। और थोड़ी दूर लेके चलो ना।
बहुत दर्द हो रहा है, इतना कूदा क्यों?
पता नहीं भाई, जब तुमने सामने से चुनौती दी ना, तो अंदर से एक जोश आ गया।